Islander has been a massive success, thanks to your incredible support. If you'd like to purchase a copy of the first edition, it will be available until Monday the 17th of June, after which it will be removed from the store and go to print. This is your last opportunity to secure a copy of this first edition.
It's the gayest Star Wars ever, everyone. It's a strange time to be alive that this is proclaimed by the creators of the show itself. So, yes, here is The Acolyte, which is the new Star Wars TV series, produced by Disney, I believe. And yes, you can look at the rating there, 4.3 out of 10, and you can infer something about how good it is, in that it's not good. It's bad. I haven't seen it because I have will to live that needs to be preserved.
Is there a single man in that poster?
Yes. You never can tell these days.
Blue lightsaber.
You can never tell
it's the guy from Squid Game.
Oh, they gave him the John Boyega treatment, the Chinese John Boyega.
Bongoyega. What was that?
Well, you know, in China, when the original one of the new ones came out, they shrunk John Boyega, the black guy, down as small as possible on the poster, so Chinese people wouldn't have to.
I think they'll be okay with that fella.
I've stopped watching Star Wars at episode 8.
Same.
Yeah, I just stopped. I couldn't continue.
It's just the original trilogy and the prequels, and maybe
which are the better ones.
I quite enjoyed the first series of Mandalorian as well.
Didn't
as a
watch
standalone. But other than that,
didn't watch it. I had too many friends soy-facing over the Mandalorian when that first came out, and like a contrarian, I said, "Well, if you all love it so much, I hate it." And guess what? Then I saw that it went massively downhill in the later series, so I was vindicated yet again.
Also, I would be remiss not to give a shout out to the Clone Wars, which I've been assured I haven't seen, but I've been assured that it is very good, and I'm sure there'll be comments saying, "Josh, you're an idiot." There we go. See,
Sam says it's good.
Samson's already on it.
See, I remember, if you're talking Clone Wars, I remember the old 2D animated ones that were 5-minute shorts on Cartoon Network, I think, back in the day, that filled in the gaps between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Now, they were good. They were done by the Samurai Jack guy, and also you'd have no idea what's going on in Revenge of the Sith if you hadn't watched that first.
Well, there we go. We've given you alternatives, and I found this interesting. This is Rotten Tomatoes, and you can see the critic score and the audience score being a gulf. The critics liked it, and the audience did not, which is true of a lot of woke things. This is like the ultimate way of finding out whether your entertainment is woke, is the audience hate it, the critics love it. So it's a pretty easy Google before you dedicate hours of your life to find this sort of thing out. There you go. You know now your entertainment is improved. Thank you, Lotus Eaters.
At this point, they must know it, because every company that has a brand ambassador that tries to do something woke doesn't go that well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a pattern here. Maybe they should start noticing this pattern.
They didn't necessarily think of it in woke terms. It was more, we have women. It is the Star Wars most defined by a feminine touch, which is interesting. So an interview happened, this interview here, and I believe the spirit of that Ugandan interviewer was channeled into this interviewer, because he basically says, "Why are you gay?" except in a more polite and socially acceptable way. So I wanted to watch this because it is very revealing. So just to introduce who these people are and why it's important. On the left there is Amandla Stenberg. So her first name is Zulu, which I believe is the Zulu word for power. It's not a dyslexic person tried to write Amanda and got it wrong. And her second name is Danish.
It's a shame there's no Zulu word for unlimited in there as well.
I know, yeah.
I think this was one of the most weird scenes ever.
Mm-hmm.
What, the unlimited power scene?
Yeah, there's power, unlimited power.
I love the fact that in Revenge of the Sith, he just starts chewing the scenery. It's one of the best and most fun performances of just an unapologetic bad guy you'll ever see. I love everything to do with the Emperor in that film. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So she's, part African-American, part Inuit, actually, via her Danish sides, which is a very rare combination. She also identifies as LGBT.
Of course she does.
And on the right there is Leslie Headland, who is the creator and showrunner, and she is a lesbian. She also spent 4 years as Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant and insists she wasn't molested, which...
So she was helping.
I'm not suggesting that.
No, she wasn't. That wasn't a suggestion that she was doing. That was an honest question.
Mm-hmm. But I can see why that didn't happen personally. But here is the actual interview itself. This needs to be watched.
I want to ask you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not
bracing
the gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the.
It's pretty gay. Let's be honest. Leslie, how do you feel?
Am I gay?
Are you,
Yes.
Well, no, I know
Yeah.
you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this, this is going to be a talking point.
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure so.
Because nerds are gay.
Well, some nerds are very not gay and are very...
12-year-old Josh vindicated.
Well, that's true. But in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. Was this the fun element of...
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly...
You're offended?
Into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me, with a straight face, that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think. But this is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ask Filoni. Okay.
Ask for one.
Now, I think they're probably joking around a little bit there towards the end.
I thought that, I always saw R2-D2 as bisexual.
He's robosexual, obviously.
Being a bit of a centrist fence sitter there, Stelios. This is a very important question.
R2-D2 plays both sides. Let's be honest.
So you always... No, I won't finish that sentence.
We always drop Always Sunny references. But I think...
Well, I'm just wondering, is the interviewer gay as well?
I
Because he
don't know.
looks and sounds pretty gay. Because
I mean,
if so...
if he was not, he would have been cancelled by now.
That's true, asking a question like that.
Yeah.
There you
in
go.
the way that he did.
So what I'm seeing is gay interviewer, gay star, gay showrunner. I'm thinking that Hollywood and Disney is run by a very particular kind of person making films and TV for another very similar particular kind of person. It's all gay. It's all just gay. That's what it is. And they're proud of it, whatever.
Yeah, I think that although they are joking around and they're not being too serious about it, which is fair enough, really, I think there is an element of they are genuinely proud of how gay they made it. I picked up on that. I don't know whether you got that as well. That's just my
Yeah,
interpretation.
clearly they are.
But they are proud of pushing this ideology into Star Wars, and they're also insulting the original Star Wars fans by just like, yeah, it's pretty gay, isn't it? You know, it almost using it in the pejorative sense in the same breath. But then they're allowed to do that because they are the one of the alphabet people, and therefore it's okay. But the mainstream media picked up on this and reported on it. You know, Fox, lots of other outlets as well, and. I think that the response here to an original post talking about this epitomizes my feelings. It's a gif of Yoda saying, "This is why you fail," because you're inserting politics into something that is an escape from the world, right? That's why people watch, you know, sci-fi and fantasy. It's not, you know, obviously it needs to relate to the world in some respects, but the things that chip away at your will to live don't necessarily need to be in there. And these sorts of things just aren't ordinary people's concern.
Well, the interesting thing that you bring up there is that you say that they're inserting politics. And if I remember correctly, the fact that so much of the films was dedicated to Machiavellian power politics going on behind the scenes was one of the reasons that people said back in the day that they really didn't like the prequels when they first came out. And one of the reasons that people praised The Force Awakens when that came out was they said, oh, they got rid of all the boring political stuff, thank God. But evidently they didn't. Even in The Force Awakens, there's some obvious social messaging going on in there. What they did was they just removed the, you could say, quite interesting internal political stuff that was specific to the Star Wars universe that was going on in the prequels, and they just added all of the, you know, rubbish that we have out in the real world into
Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed that aspect of the prequels, but I think that the the problem is it's sort of contemporary political messaging is what I mean when I'm talking about the politics. Obviously, you can portray politics because it's a part of life, and it's inevitable that it's going to come up in a series like this.
Yeah.
However,
you could say the prequels were maybe allegorical, and I think this is fair, allegorical to the early Bush years. But it still worked within the context of the universe and can be told as an internal story within that universe without you having to be aware of the outside context. All of this is just going, oh, I'm gay, let's make everything gay.
Yeah, and I think that the fundamental disagreement with this sort of thing is that it's taking a franchise that was good and then it's making it bad. It's not telling good stories. You know, if you want to have your own thing that's bad, that's telling these sorts of stories, go ahead. You know, no one at Lotus Eaters is going to discourage people. If they want to make a show about, I don't know, lesbian space samurais, then, you know, go and do it. But just don't ruin other stuff. We don't have to watch it. That's fine. No one really cares about that.
I mean, we're at this point where we kind of expect it. I mean, if there's a movie without lesbians, I'm starting to think that there's something wrong. I mean, an alternate universe or something.
Stelios spending a lot of time on the internet these days.
Stelios has watched plenty of films starring lesbians.
Yeah, to be fair, some of the
I've
best
watched many
films.
films.
Oh, God's sake, let's...
Sorry, Harry's getting uncomfortable, so I'll have to move on to a meme. I'm not sure I can read this out, otherwise YouTube will tell me off. But it's a reimagining of the prequels with the new ideology of the current year. And yes, there has also been news in Pink News, which is, of course, the premier gay publication. The Acolyte's Amandla Stenberg is unbothered by haters dubbing the new Star Wars series woke. It's because she agrees with the messaging, as she has said.
Well, she stars in it, so I'm not that
too.
shocked.
They paid her a lot of money, and that's already been done. And
also, she says she's gay.
But yeah, she's, I mean, someone named after the Zulu word for power by an African American. I think we know what their politics are going to be. You don't name your son or daughter power, do you? Unless there's some sort of chip on your shoulder. That's pretty much obvious, right? And so, yes, the politics and the people involved are pretty obvious. And talking of the people involved, one of them mentioned in this article, actually, is one Abigail Thorne, I think the name is, who runs Philosophy Tube. And there's this interesting phenomenon. This is a bit of an Easter egg here, that if you sort by oldest and then hover here...
Wait a second.
An entirely different person appears, but we can't talk about that. But it's just worth bearing in mind.
I mean, in philosophy, when you're talking about personal identity and how it changes through time, you could say that it's a different self in the past and your future selves.
Spoken like a true philosopher there, Stelios.
Exactly.
Also, I would say don't look up Philosophy Tube's internet personal relationships that may or may not have happened between other transgender YouTubers and some controversies regarding that. Also, didn't Philosophy Tube accept money from the UK state to promote COVID stuff?
I don't know. I didn't really follow it, but I can believe it.
I'm pretty sure that Philosophy Tube was involved in some kind of government internet social media push.
But I think one of the most egregious things is, here is Amandla Stenberg talking to Trevor Noah, saying white people crying was the goal.
When people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
So I know she's trying to be clever and tongue-in-cheek, but you can tell that there's substance there, right? That even though she is half white, all of a sudden white people, doesn't claim any of that identity for herself, but that is the goal. And she's also suggesting that all of the people complaining about Star Wars, well, they must be white and just, bigoted.
Well, I need to issue a correction there, which is I've seen other people sharing this. I believe this clip is actually from 2018.
Is it really?
Yes, because of course Trevor Noah isn't part of The Daily Show anymore.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, thank you. So you're basically my equivalent of Jamie here. However, the principle still stands.
I doubt she's changed her views on something like this, and I imagine this is still a motivating factor for both her in the projects that she chooses and also the creators.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the fact that the people involved in it don't really understand the source material of Star Wars. Like, I'm just going to explain this one because it's quite long-winded. But basically, he's talking about Anakin blowing up the Death Star, which doesn't happen. That was Luke, his father,
his son.
It's that one, yeah, the other way around.
Oh no!
It's literally
now
one
you
line.
don't even understand the source material.
I've been reading about this for too long, all right.
Samson's got his head in his hands. What have you done, Josh?
No, this is a very niche reading of of Star Wars where Luke is actually
so when
Anakin's
Luke kisses
father.
Leia in Empire, he's not diddling his sister, he's diddling his mother.
Yeah,
wait,
this is the Freudian reading of
his
Star Wars.
daughter? Maybe, I don't know. You've mixed it up.
It's already confusing. However, I am going to carry some water for one of the people. This is the guy, Lee Jung-jae, I think you pronounce his name, who was the lead actor in Squid Game. Apparently, he learnt English, especially to star in this, and he's a massive Star Wars fan, and he looked up to sort of Qui-Gon Jinn as the inspiration for his role.
Poor guy.
Which sounds like he put in a lot of work, cared about the source material, you know, a dream came true for him that he's in something that he is actually excited about, but unfortunately it is Star Wars Acolyte. And I would like to, say my sincerest apologies to this poor gentleman who probably doesn't deserve this. I mean, he did agree to be in it, but also I feel a little bit sorry for him, really.
What even is Star Wars Acolyte? I know it's a TV show. What's it about? How are they still drawing blood from this stone?
Well, you see, because I don't want to lose my will to live, I haven't seen it. I'm just talking about the stuff around it. And plus, you shouldn't watch it at home either. So the plot, I'm going to talk about a few little bits about it that are silly. But other than that, we're not going to touch on it, really. So there aren't going to be spoilers. Although if you're halfway through this video, I imagine you probably figured that out. So let's go to the director. Here she is.
This is happening now. And so you are watching the lessons of, and it's a dramatization of the lessons of it. As an activist and an artist, do you make that calculation? Who is my target? You talked a little bit about, I want women to watch this, and I want them to feel empowered, and I want my daughter to have heroes. I couldn't help but notice a thread through each of these, that the men were assholes. And I'm wondering, as one of them, what is the balance of activating a force for change, but also
get on with spit it out, Stuart.
Part of the calculation of your.
Oh my God, he's still going.
Absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable.
There it is.
There we go.
I'll put you out of your misery.
John Stewart.
Look at the like to dislike ratio.
Yeah, they're getting absolutely hammered. And because of the torture of that, I'm not going to play this one because Jon Stewart was just insufferable. But she's talking about playing the woman card and how much she likes getting special treatment as a woman, blah, 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 blah,
so
blah.
she's not oppressed then. Okay.
No.
All right, well, you cleared that up nice and quickly.
But yes, she hates men, obviously. And here she is, her IMDb page. She's produced and directed some not particularly well-rated stuff. A lot of it features like women with Gloria Steinem and
but
things
also,
like that.
Is there a downward trend?
You are right there.
It
gets
not
worse
very.
over time.
I suppose so. Yeah. The further you go towards the Star Wars series, the worse it gets.
So Disney was watching this person going, wow, she's getting absolutely terrible. She started off okay, but now she's awful. Let's hire her.
What a great CV.
Yeah.
So the New York Times was talking about the backlash about it. And in this article, something mentioned was quite funny to me. They mentioned the South Park episode where they portrayed Kathleen Kennedy as saying, put a chick in it and make her lame and gay. Well.
And they said, well, that's our mission statement.
Yeah, turns out it's not actually satire. It is just what happened. And she actually talked about this. My belief is that storytelling does not need to be representative of all. Does need to be representative of all people. Thank you for correcting my reading. That's an easy decision for me. So this is why this is going on. It comes straight from the top, doesn't it? And now that women are solely involved in creating Star Wars, there are some pretty glaring problems. So here's a quick clip. This is a fire in space, which if we've got any physicists in the audience or anyone with common sense, there's no oxygen in space.
Well, they can just take, evidently there is, so they can take their helmets off, right?
It's also a good opportunity to have a flashback whilst staring into a flaming ship. Rubbish engineering. But yes, as Nerdrotic points out, a fire in space. That's what happens when people don't mansplain stuff to you. And here we have what can only be described as a radical feminist art collective performance.
Power one, power two, the power of many.
And this goes on for a long time.
Power of two, the power of many.
It's terrible, isn't it? What is this nonsense?
Can you replay it? Because it's funny.
All right, well, just one replay for Stelios, but not the whole thing.
No, it's okay. Let's not make the audience uncomfortable.
No, let's talk
I
to
never
them a
want
little bit.
to make the audience uncomfortable.
You liar.
This feels like it came straight from Hollywood. Honestly.
But I have read online, because I've not watched this, that there are two women who have a Force baby created. And I think that this might be the scene where they're harnessing the Force to make the Force baby with these space lesbians.
The first official Star Wars sex scene. And it's a group activity.
If you like lesbian orgies, watch the new Star Wars. That's what they should have marketed it as. But there we go.
Maybe then they'd have got the male audience back.
Mm-hmm. And there have also been outlets complaining, woke outlets, of course, that it's not the series that's bad, it's the audience that are ruining it. And they're basically saying, it's not outright shocking to see something like The Acolyte marred by racist, misogynistic, and even anti-LGBTQ backlash. The Star Wars devotees would rather share multiple bad faith treatises about the series on YouTube or tank its audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just par for the course at this point. No, if you make bad stuff, people won't like it. If it's good, they will like it. It's that simple. And interestingly enough, recently George Lucas complained about Hollywood for lacking original thinking. Is this a veiled comment about this new series? Perhaps.
He is right, though.
Of course he's right, yeah.
We can all go back and say that, oh yeah, the prequels weren't exactly what people were hoping for after the original
what I was
trilogy.
hoping for.
But I think right now we can accept that, one, I think they're a lot better than people gave them credit for. Even I gave them credit for at some point. And also, they have a clear authorial mark on them. There's intent in them. They feel like the work of one man with a vision, unlike the paint-by-numbers committee stuff that we get these days.
I, for one, think Jar Jar didn't do nothing. Jar Jar's great.
I'm glad he aided the rise of our Lord and Saviour, Emperor Palpatine.
And the final thing I wanted to end on was a message of solidarity to you all. And that is this meme. No hate watching. No effing hate watching. Don't you dare. Don't even, give them those viewing figures. Just ignore it. Pretend it doesn't exist. That's all you need to do. Watch this video and forget about it, because that's what most people are probably going to do. They're just going to forget about this series, and that'll be that. So don't give them the numbers. Let it tank. Let them suffer the consequences of their own terrible decision making. I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can go on to our shop, our merch store, which is accessible via our website, and pre-order the Islander magazine, and you need to do this before the 17th of June, because that's when you're going to be able to stop pre-ordering it. So make sure to get it while you still can. And if you want to see what other work we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter, where we post all of the other things that we're putting out.